30 seconds and counting.
Aye.
Astronauts reported.
June 25th, 2025, we have a new moon in the sign of Cancer at 3 degrees. And this one is asking us to go deep, not just in our feelings, but into what we believe about emotional safety, what we're clinging to, and what needs to shift, and how we care for ourselves and others. And of course, this new moon is a big one. Not just because Cancer is a sign of nurturing home, family, protection, and memory, as like where we seek comfort is incredibly important, because this is where we go to retreat, particularly in times that feel intense, like the world outside today. No, it's because this new moon isn't offering easy comfort. It's conjunct Jupiter, one of the most benefic planets in the solar system. But this new moon is also squared by Saturn and Neptune and sextile Mars in Virgo. We're being asked to grow, get clear, and take real action, even while sitting in emotional fog. So Jupiter sits right next to this new moon, amplifying its emotional and spiritual dimensions. Also, Jupiter does well in the sign of Cancer, so there's a lot of bounty and blessings, particularly ones that bring healing at the time of this new moon. So this is a chance to begin a new cycle of emotional truth, intuitive growth, and inner faith. But we have to keep in mind that this new moon also inflates our feelings. Your needs may feel urgent, your desire for belonging might feel huge, and your inner child could be very loud now. That's Jupiter. It makes the emotional stakes feel larger than life. And while Saturn in Aries squaring the new moon is asking us to grow up, even if it hurts. And so this is a very big transit, as Cancer says, I want to feel safe, while Aries says, I need to face the fire. And assertively so, as Aries is about initiation. The result, you might feel like your emotional needs are being denied, ignored, or pressured into maturity. So this is a really restructuring square, and you may be called to end something that used to feel emotionally safe, or commit to a boundary that helps you become the parent or protector that you've been seeking. And then there's Neptune sitting at the Taurus degree. And Neptune in Aries is again dissolving our identity. Also, it's showing where there may have been illusions and or asking us to truly commit to our dream of who we are choosing to be or choosing to become. And so the square to the new moon brings a layer of perhaps crisis of identity and a need to release an identity, to truly step into the deeper feelings of safety and security that we are asking to feel in order to have the blessings that this new moon holds. Now here's the final key to unpacking the significance of this new moon. Mars in Virgo is forming a sextile to the moon and Jupiter. So this is creating a grounded, productive aspect while everything feels very watery or fiery, and of course, overwhelming because of it. Mars says, let's make a plan, particularly in the sign of Virgo, and followed by, let's take the emotional insight from our new moon expanded by our Jupiter in the sign of Cancer and turn it into action. So this is a great time to start small, whether you're fixing your schedule, cleaning a corner in your house, or speaking a clear boundary to someone else. So it's asking you to really show up for your own self-care. Virgo and Mars reminds us that healing is in the details. So what do we do with all of this energy? Think intentional release plus structured healing. Because Mars in Virgo, very much supported by Jupiter in Cancer, supports this. And this is more significant because Mars in the sign of Virgo is also on the south node of the moon, also in Virgo. And so there is a lot of karmic work that may come up under this new moon that is inviting us to release, to step more deeply into this new container or new pathway or new set of routines or ways that we are choosing to show up in the Cancer part of our chart, deeply connected to a karmic script that has very much been completed or no longer has the same significance and is being asked to be let go, and is very much a part of this new beginning under this Cancer new moon, very much accentuated and amplified and kissed by Jupiter. Also consider some affirmations that may help for this new moon. I trust my emotional intelligence even in uncertainty. I am allowed to feel deeply and still move forward. I release the need to control what is meant to flow. So, final thoughts. This Cancer new moon wants to hold your hand through a chapter of emotional evolution. Jupiter is opening the heart through a lot of feelings, while Saturn will test it. And of course, as Neptune is right there, dissolving the walls. Mars is helping us to rebuild what matters by helping us to be very discerning about what has been long-standing in terms of being in our way that is no longer able to take up space in the direction that we're heading for our dreams or for the life that matters most to us. So you don't need to have it all figured out under this new moon. You just need to begin. And of course, if this resonates, please drop a comment below and stay tuned, because next I'm breaking this new moon down sign by sign so you know how it's showing up, particularly in your chart. So key dates to remember: the Cancer new moon, June 24th or 25th, depending on your time zone. And of course, Mars will be in Virgo, sextiling this new moon, and sextiling Jupiter in Cancer, which is conjuncting this new moon, therefore expanding it from June 17th to August the 7th. So this new moon in Cancer lights up your fourth house of home, family, and of course, your emotional foundations. With Jupiter here, you're being asked to expand your idea of what safety and belonging really mean. But of course, a square from Saturn in your sign says it's time to grow, not hide. You may feel pressure to take care of others or hold it together, but this moon wants you to soften and let go of that armor. Mars on the South Node in your sixth house is warning you against burnout through overworking or micromanaging your life. So let nurturing come from deep presence and not control. This is your cue to come home to yourself, Aries. And so it's important for you to be authentic to yourself in terms of what do you need to feel cared for? How can you be loyal and committed to your needs? Because once you're able to do that, then you're able to truly allow yourself to have the foundation necessary for strong self-leadership. That is what I have for you, Aries. Good luck. The Taurus, the theme for you under this new moon is, can you really trust your own voice? So this full moon is taking place in your third house. This is a part of your chart that governs thinking, speaking, listening, and storytelling. Jupiter wants to expand how you speak to yourself and others. But Saturn and Neptune square this lunation from your social sectors, where confusion, projection, or burnout from people-pleasing may be very loud. The question is, are your thoughts really your thoughts? Or are they internalized voices from people you've had to keep the peace with? Taurus, Mars on the South Node in your fifth house says you might be unconsciously overperforming to win love or approval. This lunation asks, what stories about your mind or intelligence are outdated? What are you filtering that suppresses your truth in order for you to maintain the connection? It's time for you to clear the mental clutter and trust your inner voice under this new moon. And not the one that's been shaped by needing to be nice or accepted, but the one that truly invites you to be fully yourself. And so, Taurus, It's important for you to let life be messy and real. Remember that you don't have to perform in order to be lovable. Speak your truth and take action with clarity. That is what I have for you, Taurus. Sending you much love and good luck. Gemini, so this new moon is happening for you in your second house. The theme is, can you define or redefine worth without achievement? The new moon activates your second house of self-worth, money, your income earning activities, and of course, your value systems. So Jupiter conjuncting this new moon is saying there's massive potential to shift how you redefine enoughness, how you see yourself as being enough and or uprooting, perhaps where you don't see yourself as being enough. But with Saturn and Neptune squaring from your 11th house, you may be feeling pressure from your groups of association, maybe your friends, maybe your hopes and dreams that you've been investing into and or have endured woundedness, yet have persisted in terms of believing. These things are challenging how you value yourself or not, and or value or hold value in the things that you are connected with, that you nurture and care as a part of yourself. So in this way, you may be feeling undervalued or maybe unrecognized in the way your groups of associations are reflecting back to your own values, your own sense of being enough and or not. Here's a deep question for you, my dear Geminis. Have you attached your value to how connected you are to how people show up for you or don't show up for you? How visible you are in your social groups and networks? So Mars on the South Node in your fourth house suggests this pattern is ancestral. Maybe you learned you had to earn love by being good, helpful, or successful. But this moon says you are worthy without having to prove it to your friends or have your friends be the carriers for your goodness. You are enough without their applause. You are enough as a community unto yourself. You are enough just as the dreamer, even if the dreams have not necessarily materialized in the way in which you had initially thought. This new moon, Gemini, is your cue to build an inner value system that isn't based on your output and therefore recognition from your groups of association, your networks, your friends, but rather on deep emotional congruence. That is what I have for you, my dear Geminis. I'm sending you so much love. Good luck. In Cancer, this new moon is happening in your first house of the self, of your identity, of your body. The theme for you, Cancer, is, can you nurture without overmanaging? Can you grow without rescuing? This new moon lands in your first house. So again, think your instincts and also your self-concept in addition to your body and identity. Jupiter's presence here wants to expand your sense of self, but not through ego, through emotional depth. You're being asked, what if the next version of you isn't tougher, but in fact, softer, not more productive, but more emotionally alive? But here's the tension. Saturn and Neptune square Aries in your 10th house. And so your career and public role may be under pressure, but also changing, dissolving under Neptune's fog and illusion. So there's pressure to prove yourself, and maybe you're clinging to control because your visibility feels vulnerable. And in fact, it just may be. However, you don't have to hold it all together. You don't have to hold everyone else all together. Mars on your South Node in Virgo, in your third house, reveals an old habit of over-communicating, Cancer, over-analyzing, or rescuing people through trying to care and or through logistics. This moon invites you to, in fact, do something entirely different. And so that can look like releasing mental overfunctioning and returning to your emotional body. You're allowed to lead with your heart, not strategy, Cancer. And of course, you don't have to explain yourself to everyone in order to prove or justify that you are allowed to take up space. So, Cancer, I want you to stop overthinking, over talking, and of course, stop rescuing others. Trust that they can take care of themselves, and if they can't, trust that the universe will. Also, trust your body and your intuition and your inner knowing. Your body has wisdom. Listen to it. Also, don't let others, by way of those who have authority over you, whether it's a boss, a partner, or your ability to produce and show results, dictate who you are. In fact, allow this new moon to expand and teach you about who you are through your deeper knowing of what you came here to be and your capacities, foremost through your emotional body. That is what I have for you, dear Cancers. I'm sending you so much love and good luck. Leo, this new moon is happening in your 12th house. The theme for you is, can you rest without losing momentum? Can you let go without fixing first? The new moon in Cancer, activating your 12th house, the house of subconscious, of your psychology, of where you go to dream or where you go to be by yourself. Also, this is a house of surrender. This is a house of moksha, freedom, usually liberation from the world, from the physical things. It's also, therefore, the place of closure and, of course, spiritual integration. Jupiter is also conjuncting this new moon, also now in your 12th house, expanding your inner world, your dreams, and also your capacity to release what no longer serves you. But Saturn and Neptune in Aries are squaring this moon from your 9th house of your beliefs, of philosophies, of higher learning, the higher mind. Sometimes this is a house associated with how you come to know God, how you understand your life purpose, your dharma. This is also connected to foreign travels, book publishing. And so there may be a tug of war between the part of you that wants to push ahead and conquer in those foreign places and meet new people, and then the part of you that's just exhausted and tired and needs a break. Leo, ask yourself, are you using forward motion to avoid grief? Are you spiritualizing productivity to avoid feeling stuck? Perhaps there is some ambivalence in this 9th house space that has you questioning the purpose of life, but more specifically, your life and the reason you do what it is you do. And how does this connect to you taking action to distract yourself, to not have to ask these questions for fear of stillness? Mars on the South Node in Virgo is in your 2nd house, and it's highlighting a karmic fixation on performance, value, and proving your worth through work. So it's time to ask yourself, Leo, can you stop fixing for a moment and just feel what's been ignored? Really important, Leo, to ask yourself even more poignantly whether you can stop becoming and just be. This moon is asking you to clear psychic space, to close karmic chapters, and honor stillness. Remember, you're not falling behind. You're entering the deep well where real growth begins. And so, again, Leo, allow yourself to rest. Take a nap. Remember, you are the architect of the lion, and lions like to sleep, taking multiple naps a day if necessary. Also, stop trying to fix others to prove that you're worthy. Stop trying to self-improve to demonstrate your worth. Know that you are okay just as you are. Also, honor stillness. It will teach you the wisdom of what it is to be still, even in motion. And of course, Leo, it's going to be super important for you not to forget to dream. Okay? Especially if there's a yearning for something new. Don't forget to dream. That is what I have for you, dear Leos. I'm sending you so much love and good luck. Virgo, this new moon is happening in your 11th house. So the theme for you is, can I let people in without perfecting myself first? This new moon is highlighting, lighting up your 11th house of friendships, your community, your activism, your long-term hopes and dreams, your groups of social belonging. And sometimes this includes systems and networks, and of course, just the people who you have a shared identity with. And so Jupiter here wants to help you, Virgo, dream bigger, believe in belonging, and help you to reconnect with a vision that nourishes you emotionally. But of course, there's friction. Why? Because Saturn and Neptune in Aries is squaring this new moon from your 8th house of deep intimacy, trust, where you share deep vulnerability with another person. And so you want your community, but you still fear being fully seen by them. And of course, by those who would be benefactors to you, perhaps through partnership, deep, intimate partnership and merging. So Virgo, are you withholding your truth to stay safe? Are you overgiving to stay accepted? Well, Mars is in your sign, Virgo, and it's conjuncting the South Node in your 1st house, which is huge. It means that you're already going through huge periods of deconstruction for reconstruction once the nodes leave your sign. And so it's showing a karmic pattern of over-efforting, over-perfecting, and defining your identity through the usefulness that you can provide to others or the way that you're able to demonstrate your competence. So this moon is asking you to break that loop that's no longer serving you, and quite frankly, no longer serving the collective, as we're all experiencing the South Node in Virgo. And so for you, you don't need to be flawless to belong. You don't need to be polished, perfect to be loved. And there's beauty in your ability to be emotionally honest, Virgo, even for and with the messy parts. And so I want to remind you to let go of the role where you have to constantly fix yourself or fix others, Virgo. I also want you to drop the pressure, dear Virgo. Drop the pressure that you put on yourself while trying to be perfect or get it just right. I want you to give yourself permission to do nothing. Just to be with yourself, be with the urge to fix, be with that discomfort, be with yourself. And it will help you to learn what it truly means for you, Virgo, to serve from the heart and not obligation, not because a critical voice in your head may say something is wrong with you that you have to fix, and therefore prompt your instinct or drive to serve. And furthermore, I want you to take this time and this opportunity under this new moon to align your future, your plans that you always have, let's keep it 100, with deep emotional fulfillment. You so deserve that. And that is what I have for you. Sending you so much love, Virgo, and good luck. Hi, Libra. So this new moon is happening in your 10th house of career, public standing, and your leadership. The theme for you, Libra, is, can you let yourself be seen? And I mean truly seen without playing a role. So with Jupiter in your 10th house conjuncting, expanding this glorious new moon, there's an expansion happening in how you're meant to show up in the world. But it isn't just about status. It's about emotional truth, yours. You may be stepping into new visibility, but with Saturn and Neptune squaring from your 7th house of one-to-one partners, there's indeed pressure in your relationships from other people, particularly those in one-to-one dynamics. So people may be projecting onto you. Perhaps you may be projecting onto them, or you may be performing calmness to avoid conflict. This is where you get the rap of people pleasing, Libra, and or of not being the most honest, even though we know that's the furthest from the truth. Okay. My question for you, Libra, is this. Can you be visible without being the version of you that others want you to be? Mars on the South Node in Virgo is in your 12th house, and this shows a karmic loop of self-erasure, being behind the scenes, fixing things quietly, while also staying low to avoid chaos. But this moon says, let yourself lead, let yourself be seen, and not the polished version of you, but instead the real, present, human you. The world essentially is waiting for you to show up, and you should. And so, my dear Libra, let yourself be seen, not for who others want you to be, but for who you really are when no one is looking or when you think they're not looking. Also, I want you to be intentional about relating with boundaries to other people, particularly partners, to ensure that you are able to maintain your self-respect and also demonstrate respect for others authentically. It's important that under this new moon, you take the commitment and step to stop overgiving. And in doing that, stop erasing yourself and depleting yourself in the way you serve. And last but not least, lead from your heart and not guilt. You are enough. That is what I have for you, dear Libra. Sending you so much love and good luck. Scorpio, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. And so the theme for you is, can you evolve without needing first to control the situation? Because we know Scorpio and control are 2 peas in 1 pod, if not the same coin and the same side. But there's hope and there's faith. Let's talk about it. The 9th house is all about hope, faith. It's about vision. It's about our dharma. It's about our purpose. Sometimes it's about the law, whether it's spiritual law and or actually a courtroom. But more than that, it's about higher meaning. It's about personal truth and the way our beliefs are very much informed by our personal truth about us and for our lives. So Jupiter here in the 9th house, conjuncting this new moon, wants to stretch your worldview, Scorpio. It wants to open your heart to new philosophies or even invite travel or study to truly stretch you past your horizons or the ones in which you may have been limited by or limited to because of a need to control. So Saturn and Neptune are squaring this new moon in Aries from your 6th house of day-to-day work, of routine, of where you may exert a unique expression of perfection and just getting everything right the first time. Because again, Mars or Aries ruled by Mars is very dynamic, raw, and is your chart ruler. So there may be a need that asks you to show up, push harder, that very much is underpinning a need to be perfect. So watch for that. And so you may be clinging to a spiritual or ideological system that has felt safe for you, Scorpio, because it's structured. But real growth asks, what if you don't have the answer yet? Can you evolve while still being unfinished? Mars, your chart ruler, is now in Virgo on the South Node in your 11th house. And this reveals old wounds around proving yourself, proving your worth in group dynamics or collective spaces, or in terms of being worthy of your larger long-term hopes and dreams and visions for your future. So this moon is inviting expansion for you, Scorpio, but not just in the intellectual way, but in a way that asks for deep emotional humility. You don't need to control the outcome to begin the journey, dear Scorpio. And so I want you to take the time, the raw, intense, emotional, dynamic being that you are, and invested into releasing the need to people please, particularly in community, groups of people, collective spaces, or with your friends. Like if you have to do that, they're not your friends, and it's okay to release that. Because more than not, it wasn't going to be satisfying, particularly emotionally, which for you is very significant. I also want you to honor your health routines. And I want you to continue to be very intentional about how you take care of your body through day-to-day ritual routine, and also how you serve others day to day, utilizing the force of the Mars energy that very much is your nature to give yourself permission to find deeper meaning in how you take action, why you show up, that very much aligns with you stretching to find a deeper or nuanced sense of belonging, greater dharma, and new horizons and mind expanding experiences that again are deeply imbued in emotional richness and, of course, the humility to allow yourself the vulnerability to truly feel it. That is what I have for you, dear Scorpios. I'm sending you so much love and good luck. Sagittarius, this is happening for you in your 8th house. What is happening? The new moon is happening. The theme for you, Sagittarius, is can you risk emotional exposure without losing your independence? So in the 8th house, we are focused on intimacy, shared power, shared resources, and emotional surrender. We're also focused on what it means to merge with another, what we are giving and also what we are receiving. Focus more on the receiving, though if we understand spiritual principle, what it is that we receive is in fact what we initially give. And so with Jupiter in this 8th house space, blessing and expanding this new moon, there's a real opportunity for transformation, but it comes through trust, not logic, where you're most comfortable in or most comfortable expressing and navigating, particularly with your one-to-one partnerships, as Gemini rules that 7th house space. So Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your 5th house space is squaring this new moon, where your creativity, your romance, your relationship with your children, or things happening in the lives of your children, and of course your identity expression, are very much challenging what is shaping up in this new moon area. Essentially, the shadow here is, are you protecting your heart, Sagittarius, so fiercely that it can't actually open to satisfy your contracts, commitments in that 5th house space? Mars on the South Node in Virgo is in your 10th house, and this is revealing how often you default to your roles, your productivity, or outward success to avoid the deep emotional vulnerability that is asked of you in that 8th house space where this new moon is occurring and it's being expanded by Jupiter. And that Jupiter sextile to Mars in that 10th house space is really helping to create some sacred momentum for you to release those patterns that are blocking the deep emotional richness that essentially your heart is craving, to really activate the deeper, bigger sense of inner authority that is either in the way and or can be used to support this new beginning for deep trust and emotional satisfaction through giving and receiving in your 8th house, where we're having this beautiful new moon. And so the new moon says, Sagittarius, you don't have to be invincible to be lovable. So let someone in and let the armor crack open. It's not weakness. In fact, it's the beginning of real trust. And you, more than anyone, needs things to be real. Point, period, blank. Okay? So Sagittarius, I want you to let yourself be vulnerable with others that, of course, are safe for you to trust. I want you to let go of old stories, particularly those around success that are rooted in self-abandonment. You don't have to prove your strength. I want you to remember that it's your job, Sagittarius, to honor your truth. And you, after all, are the truth seekers and tellers of the zodiac. That is what I have for you, Sagittarius. I'm sending you so much love and good luck. Capricorn, this new moon is happening in your 7th house. And so the theme for you is, can you hold others without disappearing first yourself? So with the new moon in your 7th house, it's really focused on emotional reciprocity in your relationships. And with Jupiter here, love and partnerships are expanding for you, which is really exciting because you've had a hard time with Mars previously retrograding through that partnership house. So with Jupiter asking you to expand partnerships, it's also prefacing with the instruction that this is only possible if you're willing to stop treating connections as another project that you have to manage. With Saturn and Neptune now in the sign of Aries in your 4th whole sign house, where family, history, emotional security and or insecurity, and old conditioning reside, you may be realizing that how you connect is still very much shaped by your childhood experiences and dynamics. Perhaps you fear closeness means a sense of loss to yourself. Mars on the South Node in the sign of Virgo is in your 9th house, which shows a karmic release is happening for you around rigid thinking, belief systems, or moral superiority to others. In this way, you don't have to know everything, Capricorn, in order to love well. In fact, what this new moon is calling your attention to is that you just have to be real. This new moon says, stop managing the relationship. Instead, start participating in it as a real human, flesh and blood, who has imperfections. In this way, you can let someone meet you where you actually are, not where you're convinced you should be. Okay, so let's hone in on some key themes or key things for you to take away and consider under this new moon, Capricorn. So you need to listen more and explain less. Okay, I know it comes from, again, perhaps thinking or having a belief that informs a sense of knowing more, being wiser than your years, because in fact, many Capricorns have been forced or born into families where they have demonstrated they're the wise little ones. You know, a lot of times at the cost to deeper emotional development where you have been allowed or given permission to feel safe for your needs without having to feel like you're a burden to others. In this way, Capricorn, I'm calling you, or this new moon is calling you to let people in, not because they have earned it, right? So having yourself really release this notion of earning around connection, but rather let people in because you are ready to connect. You are ready for deeper connection. And so this becomes your pathway, Capricorn, to let your heart expand, which Jupiter is asking of you, particularly in this one-to-one dynamics. And through this heart expansion, you will be given the opportunity to heal any old hurts or wounds. That is what I have for you, dear Capricorns. I'm sending you so much love and good luck. Aquarius, this new moon is happening for you in your 6th house. So it's really asking whether you are, in fact, prepared to slow down long enough to actually feel something. The 6th house is your zone of health. It's about your rhythm day to day. It's about how you show up to serve. It also includes small animals and, of course, your day-to-day work routines. And so Jupiter, now in this house, is trying to grow your capacity for a softer, more sustainable life. Of course, with more work all around that. But the new moon with Jupiter expanding it is also being squared by Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is in your 3rd house. So this shows that mental noise might be drowning out the emotional signal. So are you thinking too much, Aquarius? Are you speaking too fast? Or are you staying busy to avoid stillness? The truth is, you can't think your way into emotional clarity, Aquarius. You have to feel it. And this is so crucial to the work you're doing because your 10th house is ruled by Mars in the sign of Scorpio, which is all about deep feelings. So much so that you're able to be a container to support other people navigating huge transformations. And if we know anything about huge transformations, they tend to bring up very deep feelings, feelings that feel like they could almost kill us if, in fact, they don't symbolically. So, with Mars on the South Node, and also considering Mars rules that 10th house space for you, Aquarius, it's also now in your 8th house, which is interesting because traditionally the 8th house is associated with Scorpio, which you have on your 10th house. So Mars in Virgo in this 8th house space with the South Node shows karmic patterns around emotional avoidance, control and intimacy, or transactional dynamics that are asking to be let go of or surrendered. So in this way, you must let go of what no longer protects you. This new moon invites you, Aquarius, to rebuild your day-to-day life in a way that supports your nervous system, not just your schedule. And recall, this is even more significant with Saturn, now in the sign of Aries, Saturn, your chart ruler, asking you to really take notice of your reason for being, how you show up in the world, very much connected to the Mars principle. But now, with your chart ruler, your planetary ruler guiding this work for you. Okay, so that's a lot for you to take in and consider. And so, Aquarius, I want you to stop trying to control everything, okay, from your finances to your relationships to how you think things should be. Okay, you can't control your brothers and sisters. You can't control yourself, even though I know you've been asked to time and time again. And so I want you to dig deep into this work, especially the call towards softness under this new moon and the emotional work tied up in that. And perhaps even traumas that have made that work more challenging than not. To remember that life is for you, Aquarius. It's not against you, it is for you. And when you remember that life is for you, you no longer need to control it because you're safe enough to allow it. And that's what Jupiter and this new moon is setting the stage for you to truly come into greater awareness of. And of course, see the fruits of that labor. It's time to build for flow, Aquarius, and not fear. Remember, life is for you. And so with your brilliant mind and capacity and talent for architecting your experience and the experiences of others, or holding space for, building that architecture, but also having to dissolve it to build or expand upon it, it's time to now structure your life with that skill set for sustainability and not survival. That is what I have for you, my dear Aquariuses. Sending you so much love and good luck. Pisces, this new moon is happening for you in your 5th house of day-to-day things, activities, people, children that are associated with your heart. And of course, loving pleasure. What truly makes you feel alive? What is connected or what is authentic to your sense of self-expression, Pisces? So the theme for you is, can you create from truth and not trauma, Pisces? Okay. This new moon is focused on love, heart, pleasure. It's focused on your joy. Jupiter wants you to open up and particularly open your heart to play again. Saturn was in your sign, so maybe you felt play was too much of a serious work or had a lot of heaviness around you need to be accountable. And so maybe made play quite dangerous or not as feel good as it once was. And now you're also seeing this call to play with Jupiter in that 5th house space, square Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries, now in your 2nd house of your resources, like what you own, what is just yours, how you earn income, your self-concept, your self-value. So the deep question for you, Pisces, is, do you believe you're worthy of joy, or do you think you have to earn it? What beliefs or concepts do you value that you hold tightly to about yourself that may limit your ability to participate in joy? Mars and the South Node now in the sign of Virgo is in your seventh house of one-to-one partners, relationships, contracts, sometimes open enemies. And so this reveals karmic entanglements in relationship patterns, self-sacrifice, emotional caretaking, or choosing partners, Pisces, who reflect your wounds rather than your light. This moon is giving you permission to make art again, and not art to prove something, but art for art's sake because of the way in which it allows you to authentically express yourself. This new moon is also giving you permission to love and not perform healing, but to love and perhaps be guided by your genuine feelings of love that become the ritual and healing. And of course, it's inviting you to receive joy and not apologize for it. I want you to remember, Pisces, that you're not too much. You're not too dreamy. You're ready to shine, not as a symbol, but as yourself, as vast as the ocean, as that self can be expressed and mute into it. It is fine. It is you, and it is truth. So I want you, Pisces, under this new moon, to say yes to pleasure and finding your true, authentic joy unapologetically. I want you to let go of perfecting or trying to fix your partners or partnerships. And I also want you to give yourself permission to show up and love just as you are and know that you're lovable just as you are. You don't have to perform or play or be something else for someone to love you. You are, in fact, love incarnate. And again, I want you to love yourself and let yourself play and feel unapologetically. That is what I have for you, dear Pisces. I'm sending you so much love and good luck. All right. Thank you all so much for being here with me. As I mentioned, this new moon is a blessed one. Of course, Jupiter is right there, making it absolutely expansive. And, a lot of feelings are associated with this new moon. And I just want to invite you all to allow yourselves to soften without collapsing, to truly come home to yourself emotionally, even if it feels or when it feels unfamiliar. And I think with Jupiter conjunct the new moon, our hearts all want to grow and expand. However, the square from Saturn and Neptune is reminding us that growth often begins with discomfort, whether it's releasing control or with choosing our feeling, however messy that is, over perfection. Virgo's South Node, baby. And of course, Mars in Virgo on that South Node, as I mentioned, we're being asked to let go of over managing our healing. We're being asked to stop focusing on pulling weeds out of our beautiful garden that is ourselves and our lives, but instead to focus on just growing the grass. Stop trying to uproot weeds. Focus on just growing the grass. Through that process, everything will work out. So I want you to let this be real. Let whatever comes up to be messy, beautiful, all of those things, but more than ever to just let it be yours. And so if you liked this video or if something in this message resonated with you, please let me know your rising sign, your sun sign in the comments. Also, how this new moon is showing up in your life. As well, if you're looking for a deeper experience to go deeper into the astrology, I've created a co-learning space for people like you, seekers, thought leaders, healers, feelers, who just want to engage with astrology through partnership. And who want to unpack the psychology within oneself and also connecting that to the astrology and those that we serve through the astrology with the astrology to just have a more supportive container for personal transformation that allows us to be together, even if we don't have it all together, but to really value that coming together process that is deep experiential learning. So if you're interested, please let me know, drop a comment below or message me and I'll get you the details. And of course, as always, please like this video if it helped you. Comment, again, your sign, whether sun, moon, rising, whatever you're watching for, and comment any insights that came up for you while listening to this video. Please share it with someone who's also navigating a deep transition, who may benefit from hearing this video and watching it. And again, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss these forecasts. Hit the notification button as well. Thank you so much for being here. Again, take care of your heart, love on it, honor what's real, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.